Hello, my friends, and welcome once again to our little cottage kitchen. It is a beautiful day outside, and frankly, I would rather be outside planting my dahlias and weeding my gardens than be in the kitchen. So today, I thought it would be fun if I showed you 3 very simple go-to, what I would almost consider like our fast food meals for this time of year when it's more fun to be out there. You don't want to spend too much time in here, but you also don't want to sacrifice on flavor or nutrition. So these are meals that are great to have in your back pocket to whip out whenever you need to have something on the table in, let's say, 20 to 30 minutes, but really little prep, really little effort, and really delicious results. Today in our video, we're going to be utilizing my brand new Dutch oven from Made In, and I would like to thank them for sponsoring today's video. I am very selective about what products I bring into my kitchen, whether that's ingredients or cookware, and that's ultimately what led me to Made In, because these are professional grade, like used in Michelin star restaurants around the world, cookware, but things that are really approachable and usable for the home cook. I'm kind of this weird liaison between the two because we cook for a living, but I'm also just a home cook who's self-taught, and this sort of feels like the perfect fit for somebody who just loves to cook and loves to eat good food. So I'm going to be sharing a brand new Made In product with you today, which is my most used probably tool in my entire kitchen of all time, which is a Dutch oven. This is years in the making. These are made in northeastern France by a factory that's been making cast iron for over 100 years. They're all hand enameled, which is really beautiful. If you've never cooked with a Dutch oven before, this is a great place to start. This is a 5.5 quart capacity Dutch oven, which really makes it perfect for so many things in the kitchen. It's great for making soups, stews. It's a great size for making loaves of bread in. We're gonna be making pasta sauce today, but Made In has been kind enough to offer Elliott Homestead viewers a 15% discount on your first purchase with Made In. So I'm gonna put a link below the video. I want you to check it out. Go browse, shop around, stock your kitchen with this beautiful cookware. All right, here we go. I love these. They're so stout and sturdy. It's good. All right, we're gonna pretend like we've been out in the garden all day, because we have, and we're gonna pretend like we have a bunch of hungry mouths to feed, which we do. And we're gonna make 3 meals together super fast. So normally you'd only be making one of these. We're gonna be triple timing it just to keep it interesting. And I'm gonna start out with a completely frozen package of ground meat. I don't even know if this is pork or beef or lamb because it's not labeled, but it doesn't really matter, because we're gonna be making a super quick sauce right here on the stove in our Dutch oven. I told you guys last week, I think, that we've just had the worst spring weather. Well, last week it broke and it's been absolutely beautiful, which means that all of a sudden, almost overnight, there's 100 things to do in the garden. There's potatoes to plant and a bunch of seeds to start out in the greenhouse. And sometimes, especially this time of year, there's just not enough hours in the day. And nothing makes me more grouchy as a mother than working outside all day and enjoying it, and it's beautiful, and then all of a sudden it's supper time and there's nothing to go on. So I shared this a little bit over on Instagram a couple days ago, got a lot of interest. So I thought, let's just show you what I actually make on one of those rushed kind of days. So this is going to be like pathetically easy. Is this going to be my best food? Absolutely not. Are you going to watch this and think, man, she probably runs a cooking community where she teaches people how to cook? Also probably not. But, you know, it's not always about perfection. Sometimes it's about nutrition and sustenance and love and just getting something on the table. So I have my totally frozen meat here, 2 cans. I always keep jovial crushed tomatoes on hand. I'm literally not even going to brown the meat. You could take the time to do that if you wanted. If I don't have ground meat, then I'll use bacon, I'll use pieces of ham, I'll use nothing. Sometimes I'll just do a tomato sauce. Keep it simple. All right, I have my meat, my tomatoes. I'm gonna add black pepper, garlic powder. I'm not even gonna take the time to chop garlic, some red chili flakes, and a good bit of oregano, a good bit of salt, drizzle of olive oil. And then the last ingredient, which is one of my very favorite balsamic vinegars. This is Napa Valley Grand Reserve balsamic vinegar. I love it. And I'm just going to add a tablespoon of that. Obviously, if you don't have that, you could add in maybe a tablespoon of like a nice brown sugar, or you could add in even a couple tablespoons of some leftover red wine, just something to add a little bit of depth to the sauce, which is exactly what this does. And that was it. I'm literally just going to walk away for 15 minutes and let the meat cook. Then I'll break it up with a wooden spoon, cook the pasta. So if it's been a really busy day outside and dinner is pressed, which is why we're maybe making one of these dishes, I always try to take the little 5-minute, 7-minute break, let's say while the pasta's cooking or while the frittata is in the oven. And I try to clean sweep through the kitchen as quickly as I can, just get food put away, dishes loaded in the dishwasher, counters wiped off, because that way when the food comes out, and maybe I'm enjoying a glass of wine and there's beautiful music on, it just helps me to kind of like let down and relax after just like the tension and movement of the day. The more prep and sort of cleaning, post-cleaning I can have done before we sit down to enjoy the dinner, the more I find I just enjoy it because I know that there's less work afterwards. So maybe that's something that will help you. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're like, I just want to sit and do nothing during those 5 minutes, which is totally fine too. I just do try to utilize that little bit of time to get that much more ahead. One thing I genuinely love about Dutch ovens, and this is such a beautiful color, it's such a beautiful style, is that you can serve directly from them on the table. And I love that family style kind of meal. So a lot of times when I'm making something in a Dutch oven and it's come from the oven or it's come from the stovetop, I'll get it all nice and fancy in here and then take it right to the table. Okay, fast food dish number 2 is always some form of taco. So it could be leftover pork, beef, or chicken if we have any of those meats. Could be lamb. I'll look in the fridge and just see what protein do we have. And if we don't have anything cooked already, I go for my frozen fish because this is frozen and it can go right into the oven just like this. All I've added is some olive oil. Here's some chili powder. Cumin seeds. ground coriander, and salt. I think this needs just a little bit more olive oil. And then this is going to go into a preheated 325-degree oven just until it's not frozen anymore and it's nice and cooked all the way through. That should take probably about 30 minutes. And while the fish is cooking, I'm just going to turn my attention over to a really quick cabbage salsa that goes so well with them. I mean, this was pretty easy, right? If you're in a rush, you can crank the temperature up in the oven even hotter to 425, let's say. But the problem with doing that is the fish will dry out a little faster. So keep your eye on it or compensate by adding some extra oil or some extra fat. A really great way to tell if your fish is done is just to insert a butter knife into the thickest part of the fish. Take it out, just place it, somewhere on your skin where you're sensitive. And if it's warm, the fish is cooked and you need to take it off immediately. If it's still cold, let it cook for a little bit longer. If I'm in a really quick hurry for supper, then I'll completely omit all this chopping other than the cabbage. And I'll literally just shred some cabbage into a bowl and I'll just pour salsa over the top and hopefully a little bit of fresh lime juice. But if worse comes to worse, it's literally just salsa covered cabbage. Add some salt, add some pepper, kind of massage it in a little bit. Really delicious. But we have a few more minutes today. It's not so bad. So I'm just going to get to chopping. You can really use almost any vegetables that you have on hand. These are sort of my standard go-to vegetables. I don't have any really good tomatoes right now. Actually, we'll set that aside. Start with the cabbage. This is one of the reasons that I put so much effort in the garden into growing cabbages, because we store them all winter in our root cellar in our cold room, and we eat them. And this is one of the main ways that we eat them, because we love tacos. So when I was having a call with my cooking community last month, it sort of got brought up, this idea of perfection. I think that this can really happen a lot to home cooks, especially if those home cooks really do care about what they're eating, and a lot of us do. That's probably why you landed it, or at least part of the reason why you landed on our channel. And the result of that can be, this pepper is not in season. I didn't grow it. It's just an organic pepper from my little local store, and it's nothing special. This would be way better if it was fresh garden produce, but it's not. But here's the thing. Sometimes these little 15-minute meals can be the difference between, hey, there's supper on the table and everyone's happy. And is it perfect? No, maybe not. But it's food and it's sustenance and it was made with love and you're able to just enjoy your food at home, and the quality is still so much better than what you would get if you were to go and eat out in a restaurant. And this is what I have to remind myself even sometimes. I love to cook and I love to make amazing meals. That doesn't mean that I can do it all the time, or that every weeknight allows me sort of the space and creativity and time to be able to do that. So while this maybe, I don't know if compromise is the right word, but it can feel like a little bit of a compromise, maybe to use faster ingredients or not perfect ingredients, maybe not exactly what you would like to choose. It's still such a huge improvement from eating out. And when you spend a little bit of money, maybe let's say on an out of season pepper, you're still saving a lot of money as opposed to eating out. Now, there are loads of ways that we could also make all of these meals better. If you brown your meat, you're going to get more flavor from it than if you just throw it into the pan with a tomato sauce. If you toast your cumin seeds on your fish, you're going to get a lot more flavor. If you saute your peppers and brown them and peel them and char them, you're going to get a lot more flavor. But this isn't about that. This is about just being able to put something good on the table and letting go of this idea of perfection. This is really primarily all we put on our tacos, is some sort of cabbage, tomato, peppery slaw kind of thing, because it kind of makes it easy, puts it all in one place for you. So we don't have a ton of different toppings. It's all here, and this is what you get. So freshly ground pepper would be better. Freshly minced garlic would be better. I have some limes here. Oh, those are really hard though. Super hard. Might need to bring in Stuart to squeeze those. Sometimes you can get the juice to flow by just rolling it under your palm, but these are, I don't know about these. I might have to bring in some reinforcement here. If you don't have fresh lime juice, sometimes I use a few drops of lime essential oil. Or if I don't have any of that, then I'll just use raw apple cider vinegar. And that sort of works as an acid to sort of help marry everything. Lime is best if you do have it. Can you help me? I'm gonna add a little apple cider vinegar here because I don't think we're gonna have enough lime juice, and I want that to kind of be swimming in that acid. Okay, the last step for your super quick homemade slaw is just to get in there and start massaging it a bit. Remember, our fish is in the oven. Hopefully at this point, you've maybe poured yourself a glass of wine and put some good music on, and your kids are playing outside and not arguing or causing a ruckus or making a mess anywhere. So you have just a nice little 20-minute section carved out. The salt and the acid is going to start to like change the cabbage a bit. Almost like a quick pickle in a way. That lime smells so good. Have actually some beautiful cilantro right now up in my garden. And if I can snag a few more minutes before we eat, I'm going to chop that up and add it in as well. But literally this is it. Fish is in the oven. Cabbage slaw is made. All that's left to do now is just warm up my corn tortillas. Those are the tortillas that we like to eat. There's a great little store in town that makes them fresh every day. So we go and we stock up, and they don't have perfect ingredients, but we don't eat tacos because we want a perfect diet. We eat tacos because they make us really, really happy, and they're really delicious, and they're fresh. Okay, let this sit while the fish finishes cooking, and by that time it sort of should have married a little bit. And then taste it. Does it need more salt? Does it need more acid? Does it need more heat? That's it. hot sauce we made together last year. I'll post a link to that video below. Our third fast food supper that we're gonna be making together today is not sexy, but it is delicious and it's packed full of nutrition, so I don't really care, because sometimes I just need to get something on the table. I'm actually whipping out my other Maiden pan that I have. This is a stainless steel pan that I absolutely love because I hurt my elbow out in the garden and it's way easier to lift than really heavy cast iron skillets. This can go right from the stovetop into the stove as well. So I guess I should preheat my stove. I'm gonna put that on like 325, 350, not being precise about it. And here's the point where you gotta go into your refrigerator and you gotta pull out old vegetables that need to be used up. Maybe you have some cooked potatoes that are left over. Do you have weird cheeses stuck in the bottom of your fridge, or odd pieces of protein, maybe a little bit of bacon, a little bit of sausage, a little piece of end ham or something? I have 3 pieces of prosciutto. And I have a little old, beautiful piece of a really beautiful cheddar, but doesn't really have a home right now. It's just been floating around in the refrigerator. And then, of course, I have some eggs from our chickens. So to me, I just see protein when I see this. And that's great, because part of my job in cooking food for my family is giving them something that's going to help keep them full and really just sort of pack the calories in until the next meal. And there's not that many foods that do that better than a really beautiful frittata. So not a ton of instructions here other than you need some good butter. Get that going. Maybe you have some fresh herbs, parsley, chives, rosemary from your garden. Use up what you have. I mean, really, that's what we're sort of relying on, foods that are versatile, foods that are quick. Sorry, I keep bumping my mic. He's getting angry at me. Sorry. So for my family of 6, I usually use about 12 eggs for a frittata. I'm going to use 9 for this one because I'm actually making 3 dinners right now. Why are you making that face at me?
A feather on your finger.
A feather on my finger. It's farm fresh feather on my finger. If you're going to use bacon or sausage, of course, brown it first. That takes a few extra minutes, so this is a little bit faster. Hard to beat the old box grater. Salt. You could saute an onion, saute zucchini, saute some bell pepper in your butter right there in your pan if you want to take the time to do that. Maybe you already have some roasted left over from the night before. This is just going to be a very simple, beautiful egg frittata. I'm going to chop up a little bit of this parsley. It has certainly seen better days, but part of my job too, as the home cook for my family, is being economical with what I'm doing. And that means maybe using up things that aren't perfect, or maybe even having to stretch an ingredient or use something that's a little bit past its prime. And that just helps us to be good stewards of what we have, stretch the grocery budget. Okay, mix our cheese in. So my mom and I kind of have this joke about we should have just made a scrambled egg sandwich, because so often we go out to eat and we come home and it's expensive and we feel terrible, and maybe the service was bad, and mostly we just feel really terrible. And we always joke, oh, we should have just made a scrambled egg sandwich, because that was sort of one of her go-tos when I was growing up, is just literally 2 pieces of toast, some cheesy scrambled eggs, make it into a sandwich. And you have, you know, not the most exciting, not the most beautiful supper, but something that genuinely nourishes you and doesn't make you feel terrible. Okay, my butter is beautiful and hot. My skillet's ready. So the frittata just goes right in like that. I'm just going to leave it on the stovetop for maybe 30 seconds for the bottom to set a little bit. And in that time, I'll put my prosciutto, just drape it over the top. No big thing. One of the ways I like to make sure that this feels suppery, because we can often think about eggs as a breakfast food in America, is I'll serve it with a side salad, a really simple side salad. Maybe I have beautiful greens in the garden. Maybe I just have some leftover greens from the grocery store in the refrigerator, but I'll just dress them with olive oil and a little grating of Parmesan cheese and some fresh lemon juice. And that's usually the dressing that I go to. And I serve that alongside the frittata. And there's something about that little side salad that just makes it feel like a dinner. It makes it feel a little bit more savory, a little bit more complete. So no one complains. I'll tell you one other secret that I have for honestly just keeping the troops happy, and that's always making sure that I have fresh bread on hand. And it's a chore to make fresh bread. It takes time, especially when you make sourdough bread. But if you're serving something like a frittata for dinner, or even a spaghetti, or maybe just a big salad with some leftover roasted chicken on top, adding a giant piece of like toasted sourdough on the side makes it really fleshed out. It makes people happy. Bread makes people happy. So one of the ways that we always make sure we sort of have fast food on hand is by always keeping bread on hand, because that way people can make almost anything that they want just from that. Here's one other tip that I try to keep in mind when I'm plating something that's made very quickly. I won't say haphazardly, but just something that on the fly that we're preparing. I always try to plate it really beautifully so that it still looks like I care. And I do care. But I bring out prettier plates, and I usually dish everybody up so that it looks nice when it's presented. Just one of those ways to sort of elevate it a little bit more, even though it's fast food. So none of it is perfect, but it's all beautiful and it's all delicious, and it's all so much better than what you would get if you were to go out to a restaurant. So I think that that is worth celebrating, and I hope you enjoy my garden fast food dishes. Hey, mom wants to be outside, not in the kitchen. If you would like more inspiration from my kitchen, make sure you check out the Elliott Homestead cooking community. I'll put a link to that below the video as well. And make sure that you check out Maiden's amazing Dutch oven, available now, and you can get 15% off by using the link below the video with your first time purchase. You're gonna love it and find so many uses for it in your kitchen. Until then, happy eating, my friends. Georgia wants a taco. She's hovering over there, staring at it.
Ooh, yeah. That was like, oh, it was like drool and everything coming off.
That was no good.
It was like you did like the whole noise and everything. And then there's like a piece of drool that came off.
Okay, do another one.
No, it's fine.
No, you can't use that.
I'll edit it out.
The drool?
Yeah.